Thank you for this day you've blessed us with. Thank you, Father, for the safe traveling grace to bring us here. Thank you for those in our audience, the employees, and those that might be visiting. Thanks for each council member that's here today, Father. Help us, give us wisdom and knowledge, and help us do good work for our people. I pray for our leaders, federal, state, local, and tribal leaders, Father. Help us do those things that we were elected to do. Help us be transparent in our work and do good things for our people. I pray for our troops. I pray for those that need a touch for their health, for those that might have lost loved ones, and those that need care as only you can give them, Father. Go with us now. Help us make good decisions and forgive us where we fail. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Next we have roll call.
Jody Cope.
Here.
Don Garvin.
Amen.
Bill England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Bezer.
Here.
Bradley Cobb. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk. Here. Meredith Fraley. Janelle Fulbright. Chuck Hoskins. Tina Glory Jordan. Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Soap.
Here.
David Jordan. Tara Callenwart.
Honey. We have a quorum.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Budget.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda and add a resolution on it. This resolution was supposedly coming over to the Community Services Committee tomorrow, but it needs to go to full council tonight.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is amended.
Item 2.
Item 2.
Thank you.
Next, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the last.
I move it be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And next we have our reports. And Dr. Morton, are you reporting for the group today, or?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we'll. I don't see anyone from Career Services. Is there? Or? Okay. So you are up.
Good deal. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have our reports from Education Services for the various units there. Would be happy to attempt to answer questions about any of those, and then I have some additional information for you concerning the higher ed scholarships.
Are there any questions? Ms. Fishinghawk.
Yes, Dr. Martin, I would like for you to figure something. Some of us council members have talked about it. How much it would cost to put in the budget this year to hire counselors for our counties like we've done, like you have over at Sequoia High School for Cherokee students.
A counselor for higher ed students.
For our graduating high school, go up to high school in each of the counties. Or maybe share one, a county or two or something, but several of us have talked about it. I'd like to see some numbers on it.
Okay, I'll pull something together and have it ready for.
The budget hearings are coming up.
Yeah. So I'll look into it and give you some ideas and estimates.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President?
And that's just a follow-up on what Councilor Fishinghawk was saying, that I've been interested in something like that too, Dr. Morgan, and it wouldn't have to be a full-time basis for each school. That's what you're saying, Ms. Fishinghawk? If it would be on a day or 2 days or 3 day a month basis for each school in our jurisdictional area. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I think we had a little discussion beforehand about the immersion program and some of the, maybe some of their needs, and you were going to share that with
Yes,
us.
I think several of you may have received correspondence from at least one individual about the lack of permanent playground equipment at the immersion site. I visited with that individual at length a couple of months ago and explained to him that anything that we would put there now would have to be removed when we move in the modular unit or units that we will be moving in this summer. And as soon as we got the additional space units installed, then we will be putting traditional type playground equipment. Plus, plans are in the works for a traditional playground that, in addition to that, I suppose it would probably have everything that Councilman Quinn, like pea vine, grapevine even. So a traditional playground that would have a nature walk and so forth. So those plans are all in the facilities plan in that department, the facilities department. So as soon as we get the modular unit in place, we will be installing permanent type equipment.
So possibly by sometime in the early fall, we might be looking at some equipment.
I've almost gotten to the point where I refrain to give an estimate on all of those. But yes, I'd say by fall. Because the modular unit we're going to need by mid-August. I'm not sure we'll have it by mid-August, but we're going to certainly need it by mid-August. Okay. Higher ed. Have some handouts for you, and I'll run through those, give you a better idea, because we're right down to the end of our approval time, and I want to show you some information by your individual districts of where funding stands at this point. We do have a few more students than normal because I think of the economic situation. We're going to school as an alternative to employment in some instances, and just a tendency to, hey, I better learn something that I can do so that I can get along in this world. So the tricolored sheet has each district, the number of Pell recipients, the number of Cherokee Nation sponsored programs, the number of graduates, and the total funded. If more accurately, the yellow column would be total to be funded, which would be 2,345. In other words, that's the ones who have a completed application that was turned in by the deadline date. The teal colored column is total waiting. Those are completed applications that were turned in late. We are confident that we will be able to fund the 2,345 students. And on a case-by-case basis, we will work out the 42. Now, we're basing that on some past history in the program. So the good news is we're going to be able to fund those students who have a complete application turned in on time. Plus, the very good possibility that we will be able to fund the 42 who have complete applications turned in late. And those will be on a case-by-case basis. Right now we're working through the students who have already been funded for the 8 semesters but lack at least 2 more semesters to graduate. We're going through those, and based on their degree plans, if they can graduate with 10 semesters, we will fund those. There are 30 of those. If you'll look on the back of that page, and you'll have to, some of them are printed upside down, but if you look at the back of that page, it'll show you what a wide distribution you have of aid to Cherokee students. The 2,345 come from 23 states.
Mr. Garvin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. These in the yellow on the front page, do they all know they've been approved?
The majority know that's been approved, yes.
How do they get the communication?
How do they get notified?
How do they get notified?
By letter.
Certified or just
Director.
later? When were they notified?
Let's see.
Thank you, Madam.
Did you have one in question that?
No, I just kind of curious about that.
That's it, okay. Anytime you have one in question, like your constituents contact you, let us know and we'll track them down. And because we did have one small batch that went out late.
I'm glad to see it's already gone out. That's
Yeah, it's out. And there is no reason this year for you to be assessed any late fees. Last year, remember, we had some pretty hefty late fees because of the straggling. Now, that's because we're holding to that June 12th deadline. So it looks pretty good. Now,
This fishing lot, did you have a?
Explain this back sheet, this one more time.
I'm sorry.
The state representative, explain that to me one more time.
Those are the number of students from who were potentially awardees. In other words, those that will be awarded this fall came from 23 states. Notice one pretty high one, the state of Arkansas. That's that Lapland area that we have in the contiguous counties. Okay.
Ms. Watts?
So, just to clarify on that particular data, that is actual at-large citizens. It's not our citizens that have chose to go to out of state, but they're really from home.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Further questions?
Are there other questions?
Did I misunderstand? Here a while back, didn't you tell us that we were going to do away with the deadline and take applications?
We'll take that 42 over there, that we'll take applications as long as we have the funds to fund them. So see, we have 42 that have complete applications. They just got them in late. I'm very optimistic that all of those will be funded.
And
Now, the number that you see printed here in red, now that's everything from someone who sent us in one page a long time ago to one that got everything in the transcript. In other words, there were 926 applications that were never completed.
let's say those folks come back and let's say all they needed was a transcript and they send that in to you. Will that then become a completed application and go to waiting?
If that's all they lack, and if they can get in school to the point that we don't have to pay a late fee on a case-by-case basis, yes.
Do you think those people thought they had everything in? Or, I mean, do we do any follow-up once?
In most
we get
instances,
one?
they did not. In most instances, they thought they'd go, then they decided not to go. I'd say there'd be a very, very small percentage that thought so. And if so, they probably would have contacted us by now and said, hey, where's my award?
So what you're saying is a lot of these incompletes are people that are not going to school, not planning on going to
Not
school
planning
now.
on going to
They've
school.
gotten another opportunity, a job or
It probably
online courses or something of that nature.
may have been a class in school that said, okay, we have the Cherokee Nation Scholarship application, it's time to turn fill them out. And we may only have the application, may not even have any of the supporting documents.
And the few that are in there that really intend to go to school, if there is a method where they finish their application, we, on a case-by-case basis, will look at them over here. Okay, thank you.
Now, everything we've talked about up to this point has been good news. Bad news is, if we have the same level of attendance for fiscal 11, we would have to have a higher appropriation. And if, in fact, the economy causes more of these students to stay in school rather than drop out of school, then it would take more funds. Right now, the dropout rate from fall to spring is 19%. If that decreases, that means we'll need more money. We have in the past, on this 2,300 and, in other words, the 2,345, the total to be funded, for the past 4 years, the average has been that 13% of those did not pick up their awards. Now, if 100% of them pick up the awards, then that causes the picture to be a little bit slimmer too. One other thing that will affect next year, a practice that we started that I think is really positive, and that is the awarding of money to the salutatorians and valedictorians. It's really a good program, but we took that from the scholarship program, and that program cost us $74,000, right? $74,000 this year. So there are several things that, as we consider funding in the future, that will have to be considered. The more we succeed, the more money it'll take. And the more we decrease the dropout rate, the more money it'll take. And so we're attacking all those issues at present. So, but it is a fantastic program, and you're making a difference in the lives of lots of people.
Albright. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just have a question. Dr. Morton, next month, will you bring us the statistics and have them side by side for the last 2 years of what we funded?
And we'll have the actual funding by next month of those who pick up their awards.
Would you be so kind as to break it down like we did
By district.
by district
Yeah.
and maybe even this year?
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Ms. Fulbright.
Basically, that was some request that I had because Councilor Thornton and I, including you, have put our service team down there in a big effort to get Sequoia County to respond and more positively to apply, and we'd like to know, it's like that would answer our question. If all of our efforts helped any. I think you visiting with all the counselors in the county was very good, and I think it's up. I just wanted to say thank you.
Others? Thank you. Thank you very much. And Kim Carroll is here now from Career Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Diane's caught up in a meeting at the moment and asked me to come over and sit in for her. If you have any questions, I'll certainly try and answer them for you.
Any questions? Mr. Soper?
I just have a comment. If you take it back to Diane, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Recently had a constituent request for assistance, and the constituent was somewhat impacted by your program. They were kind of at the end of the rope, you might say, as far as their ability to find work and things like that. This constituent participated in your program, and it's been some time since we've seen this individual. Recently saw her or was made aware of her situation, and she had completed her training program, was working at one of the clinics, and was doing a fine job. she was really appreciative of the programs that we have and the assistance that was provided to her. So it was really a uplifting experience. I know we do that stuff day in and day out, but in this particular case, this individual has made a pretty significant impact. Not only was she appreciative of that, being, your program assisting her, but also her daughter was working for the summer help as well.
Right.
And I know that really made a big impact and really made a difference in her life. And so it was communicated back to me that she was really appreciative, and just keep up the good work, and thanks to all your department people and all the work that they do. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, certainly, thank you, and I will pass that on.
Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rogers.
I have a letter here to forward to you. Apparently, a young lady had applied for dental hygienist training and went through several weeks of applications, and when she got her denial letter, we pretty much said, well, we don't do dental hygienists. And why shouldn't we have told them that up front?
I'm not aware that that's the case, that we don't do dental hygienists, but I can certainly check on that.
Let me just get it to you.
Okay.
We'll get back with it.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have old business, and there's none pending, and so we will move to new business. And the first item is a funding request from the Cherokee Arts and Humanities Council, and I believe that Roy Hamilton is here to present that request.
Good afternoon. I think you all have it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Or if you'd like to know more about our organization or anything at all.
Why don't you share a little bit about the organization with us? Yes.
We started in about 2006, and what it actually began as was a theater company, and then I couldn't garner enough interest to get the theater company going, so we expanded into the arts and humanities as a whole. And then we become project and program oriented, and we have about 6 programs or projects we run each year. Our largest is funded by the Cherokee Community Works Project, and that's in the Kenwood community. And we did that last year and continued it into a second phase this year. And then I think it's almost done for the second phase this year. And then our largest project would be the one we go, it's called Unali, and we go into the Bell and Marietta public schools in Adair County. And primarily Bell because they don't have an arts program at all. So we are their arts program. And we do about 13 projects with the children each school semester. And it ranges from pottery to basket making. And we also do a short history class where we talk about the United States has important historical figures, well, the Cherokee Nation did as well. And we present from John Ross down to Redbird Smith and Ed Christie. And we talk about what contributions they made to our government and how they were important to our people and still are. That's the sort of thing we do. And then we do cultural demonstrations, and we do those all over the United States, it's turned out. We get a lot of requests. Some we don't do, but we try to do all that we're asked to come to. We have sort of a criteria for what we will do and what we won't do. We try to stick to that. And by that I mean sometimes we get requests from organizations who are expecting headdresses and, stereotypical things, and we explain we don't do that and we don't participate in those types of programming. We do a lot of Boy Scout programming, primarily in Arkansas and Missouri.
Are there questions?
I would say we have come full circle. We're back to the theater again, and we should have our first theater production in a few months, and I'm sure you'll hear about it. It'll be a small show in Tahlequah, and then we intend to have at least 2 a year, and we're working on a large theater production within the next year. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And so your your request here is for, you want to talk about the budget a little bit that you're...
And this budget is primarily, and well, totally, for what we were just asking to be funded for. Our budget, we didn't include what we're doing in the Kidwin community, our cultural project there. And we didn't include our Digitronic program, which is the beginning of a digital media festival that we would like to hold within the next 2 years. And we hope to have the first small version of that at the Indian Symposium that Northeastern State University holds each year in April. And it will be just a small gathering of people to plan it for the next year. We think that will be grant funded. I've already talked to some people at the Arts Council, or the Oklahoma Arts Council, and they think it's something they could participate in. And a couple of corporate sponsorships, I'm sorry. Last year, our total budget was about $43,000, and it's expanded this year to what you see there, and includes all of those things that I mentioned. What we had asked for, we had no salaries, of course, because we're a totally volunteer-based organization. Everyone operates. The only way we ever pay anything is we pay stipends to artists who go, like to Bell, to do a pottery project, and we pay the usual stipend, which is about $100. And if they drive very far, we sometimes include a gas allowance, which never goes over $25, which doesn't buy much gas, but it helps. I had asked in the funding for some to attend a grantsmanship training seminar, and since I asked for it, they started to move too, so they're actually getting closer. I think they're going to offer one in Kansas City, perhaps. But I participated in that about 2 years ago, and it was a wonderful program. I think the Grantsmanship Center out of LA is probably the best grantsmanship school that anyone could attend. I actually took the courses in Williamsburg, Virginia, because they offered it there during the time I was interested. But they go through a complete program, and this one they're offering on federal funding from the new administration programs that are coming out. And then I broke it down talking about the materials and supplies we use, and that's mostly by supplies to go to the Bell School program. We do mask kits, stickball stick kits, the small mini ones, and all of those programs that we do for them. Clay, reed, that type of thing.
Ms. Jordan, you had a question?
Well, more of a comment. Have you worked with our CARTA program?
Yes, ever since it began.
I'm wondering if this is not a better referral to the CARTA program.
They're trying to, they told me since I had asked for this, Paul Butner had told me that they're trying to get somebody to come here and offer a training, but they haven't been able to arrange it yet. They've done that before, asked someone from the Grantsman Center to come here to the nation and offer classes. But they said there's no plan for that in the immediate future.
Are you referring to just the grantsmanship portion of it, or to the entire
Well, it appears that it might be more appropriate for this to go through CARTA.
The entire budget.
The entire budget. What it looks, I may be wrong, and I sure defer to some of you all that have a little more knowledge about it, but it looks like it fits what CARTA is trying to do. Not so much a question, it's just a comment to the rest of the council.
I would have a question to the rest of the council also, because we funded the Cherokee Artists Association earlier this year, and can someone comment on the difference between this versus that type of funding that you may see?
Madam Chair, are you asking like the similarities or the difference? I mean, I don't, from what I know about Mr. Hamilton's work, I mean, they're out doing a lot of really good things, and they're delivering, like, you know, the Artists Association kind of delivers a different service to the community, I think, logistically. But I would be curious, it's not that I'm opposed to us allocating additional monies, but I'm curious if CARTA, because I understood at one point they would pay for the training. I think what Councilwoman Laura Jordan's referring to is that they would actually allocate money, not even about bringing the training in, which would be even extra. That would go above actually what your request is and allow more of your folks to attend. But they used to pay at one point for folks to attend very expensive training, actually, if they were already participating in CARTA. So not to, you know, you wouldn't have to come back, but I'd be curious if we tabled it for a month, because I think CARTA needs to respond on whether or not they could accommodate what he's requesting and maybe even more through existing budgeted monies. So, I don't know, I'll make a motion to table for 1 month to find out those answers.
I would second that.
Thank you.
So there's a motion to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move to agenda item 2 on our amended agenda. Mr. Buzzard, can you present this, or is Scott
Yes.
going to present it, or?
I'm going to ask Nancy Scott to come up and just give a quick overview of this.
Good afternoon. I'm with Community Services, so you're probably wondering why you have this resolution in front of you during the Education Committee meeting. But if you'll notice, it is under the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act for the stimulus funding. The grant that we're applying for is a 2-year grant, and the first year, there's technically only 2 months left on it, so we're trying to act as quickly as we can. And there is a large piece under the education services in the grant that we're proposing. So that's the other reason why we're presenting it at this meeting.
I'll make a motion we approve, and also in the motion to move it to full council tonight. Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Watson?
Thank you. I was curious, could you go, I don't know, maybe it's not for the answers, but could you go a little bit more, because I saw a part of it on the resolution about what we were able to get. It almost looks like it could cover potentially what that request was earlier for Dr. Morton. If it's under education, that they might get help with those students in schools, because it says it's serving 6 rural school districts.
Actually, they'll be serving 11. The education piece is where we're going to provide Bridges Out of Poverty training for the, I believe it's school, the TOS program. The education services already has. We're going to provide the Bridges Out of Poverty training for the school personnel from those schools. The main intent of the CSBG grant is to address poverty. So that's why we picked that project. Did I answer your question?
Other questions?
All for the question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it will move to full council tonight. Thank you. Next is announcements. Are there any announcements? I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?